Well, I know. Thanks, Andres. Appreciate the comment. Okay, I just changed the title. So today's live stream is going to be about how to get your brake lights to light up when you brake, which is pretty straightforward when you come to think of it. Yes, BD-chan, you showed up in time. Okay, so a few things you gotta know. First of all, you, on your mesh, need a specific material ID just for each lights that you want to light up separately. What I mean by that is that here I have Elementor T, which is a material ID that only affects these lights here. These are going to be my brake lights. For example, if I wanted these lights here to be reverse light, then I'd need a separate material ID that only include these two lights here. And same for the headlights. If I wanted the headlights to light up, then I'd need a third material ID just for all these lights here. And also you're gonna need to remember the name here that you give to that, well, to said material ID. So I would highly recommend copying the name when you're here. And so, okay, let's get started. First of all, I'll create a new material. New material, I'll call him M-Light. Alright, this is a base material that we're going to use for an instance. And so the color and the intensity will be adjusted in the blueprint, so we only need to create one material for all the colors and all the intensity we want. So we're going to need a vector parameter. Here, vector parameter. So this is exactly the same as constant 3 vector, except this one is accessible in material instances. You can give it a name, for example, light color right here, and you can set its default value to be whatever you want. So I'm gonna set it to white just for the sake of visibility, and plug that into the base color. Okay, now for the material to glow, we're gonna use the emissive color. So you can see I can also plug it in the emissive color. Alright, now as you can see, it's not really it's not glowing much, right? If I just apply that to inside of the box, yeah, it's kind of disappointing. So we're going to use a multiply, which is going to be our glow intensity. And for that, I can't straighten links. Seriously? Okay. Now I'm disappointed in the material editor because it does not help me make everything perfect. So, okay, we're going to need a simple param, yeah, scalar parameter, which is a float value that you can change inside of the material instances. So this one we're gonna call glow intensity right here, and set its default value to something like 10. Okay, now you can see from the blur, not the blur, sorry, the, okay, I forgot how it was called, but yeah, you can see a white ghost around the mesh, which makes it look like it was glowing. Now, of course, it's daylight, so you don't see it much, but if I set the skylight to 0 and the light source to something like 1, you can see here everything is super dark and that white here is glowing a lot. So let's put that back to normal. It's got an intensity 1.5. Yeah. X days. I'll consider it, I guess. Vehicle tutorial from scratch would be, well, actually, I have a few on my channel already. Could you explain what exactly could be explained better in these? Okay, so our material is pretty much done. Really, that's all we had to do with it. So we're gonna apply it to our brake light channel. Well, actually, we're gonna create a material instance by right-clicking the material and create material instance. And we're just gonna let it be like that. Okay, now you can see the material is glowing from the bloom. Voila. The word I was looking for was the bloom. You can see it kind of blooming all around. And if we go to the parameter groups, we have here light color and glow intensity. So we can say, for example, I want this thing to be a red light. So it'll be a nice dark red. And I want the glow intensity to be 120. Yeah, don't worry. When I'm done with the stream, it is gonna get recorded and you'll be able to watch it again later. Alright, so after you've created your instance, you're gonna use that instance instead of the base material. Okay. Now you can come here and see that these lights are glowing. Now we want to be able to actually control the glow so that it's only glowing when we're braking. Alright, so into the bag and play, I'm just gonna need to plug that into the output to be able to put something after. See, I got the arrow now. So what you want to do is you want to get the mesh and get material. Yeah, just get material. Element index, I don't know which one it is, so get material index. And it's asking for a slot name, which is what I copied earlier, brake light. So this here is gonna return a reference to whatever material you have onto the slot named brake light. Okay, so that material we want to create a dynamic material instance. Now there seems to be two identical ones with different descriptions, so I'm gonna read through them. Create a dynamic material instance. Oh, actually, I could have used this one. Here I'm gonna show you both of them. Create material instance. Okay, so one takes a simple material and the other one takes a material index. So you can either use this one with the get material, or you can use this one with the ID from this node. So if I use this one, I can get rid of the get material altogether and have one less node in the graph, which is exactly what I'm gonna do. So just to recap, target here is gonna be our mesh. Yeah, so you drag up the mesh and create dynamic material instance, and you're gonna get that node. Okay, now the source material is going to be our mlight instance. Good. Now we can promote this to a variable, which we're going to call break light map. All right. So the thing here just created us a variable for a dynamic material instance of which we can tweak the values at runtime. I'm just gonna collapse that to another graph here. Okay, and then just give me a minute. There's a lot of comments today. All right, I'll see you later. Stays. Have a nice one. Okay, so the next thing to do. Oops, what? Actually, I should have done that on big and play, not on event tick. That is my bad. And what we're gonna do instead on the event tick is gonna be to put whatever variable we want in there. So we're gonna get our variable back. And here we have set scalar parameter value. So the parameter name here is going to be glow intensity. Now to help you out with that, you can keep the material open. The names you want are here, parameter value. So glow intensity. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a select float here. And we're gonna use the Okay. Actually break. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna get that value here to detect whether or not we're breaking and whether or not this should glow. So instead of dragging from that wire all the way across our graph, we're gonna so vehicle break here is the name of our input, and we can get its axis value anywhere in the graph. So that little fancy node here gives us the same value as this, but we can place it where we want. So float is bigger than 0. If it's bigger than 0, that means we're pressing the button and trying to break. So if it's true, if I'm breaking, and if it's not true, if I'm not breaking, I still want it to glow, but not nearly as much. So let's give that a try. Yeah, you can see here, when I press the brake light up. Now it's not really intense, right? I mean, it could be much better than that, much more intense. That's probably because I don't have any bloom. Into my post-process volume. Okay, bloom intensity, let's say I put that to 1. Where's the sun? Oh. Let's see if we can get some bloom onto that material, just to make it look more savage. Yeah, it doesn't make much difference. And you can always go back into the menu and give it a super ridiculous value until you're happy with the way that it glows. Okay, now that looks intense enough. Now you can see the light blooming out the camera a little bit. So that's a crazy intense actually. Yes, Pumpkin, you're gonna need to create a new material channel on your mesh just for the lights. For each light separately, actually. And I'll show you that in a few minutes. Now that I'm done with the blueprint part. So okay, we've got our brake lights glowing. And I don't quite like the tint of the red. I think it's a little orangish. So we're gonna go into blueprint. And set param. Okay, that's gonna be set vector parameter value. Parameter name's gonna be, I don't even remember, light color. Here, and we get a really nice color picker instead of simple RGB values, but if you want, you can split the struct and use RGB values. So you can do as you want. But I'm gonna use a color. And that's gonna be a really, really dark red. Because with the glow, it tends to become much more orangish. Yeah, could be darker again. Oops. In the blueprint. Yay, okay. Now I think that's gonna be good. So you can see brake lights are lighting up whenever I brake. So that's good. Hell yeah, nice. Okay, so let's say I go back into the blueprint and maybe when I'm not braking, just a little more glow. So yeah, you can adjust the glow value of either braking or not braking as you like. And you can do that with anything. And I'm gonna show you that right now by creating the reverse lights as well. So, first thing you need to do is open up your favorite modeling software. In my case, I would say it's 3ds Max. Yeah, in some cases that's going to be Blender. Unfortunately, I can't seem to be able to learn Blender, and so I won't be able to provide you any useful information on how to do that in Blender. So I guess you're just going to have to deal with it. Okay, give it a few more minutes to become usable. Wow, that was quick. Alright, so here's the max file for the Camaro. Good, finally. Okay, so you can see here is the material I've created for the brake light. I'm gonna create a new one, which is gonna be reverse light. This one's gonna be white, and self illumination is gonna be white too. Now I'll go here into the element. Alright, select only the back plate and this bulb, and voila. Good. So we now have these lights on their own separate material ID, which we're going to be able to use in the blueprint. So we're just going to export that to the Camaro. Yes. Geometry, smoothing group. Okay. Nice. And yeah, before I actually hit re-import, I'm gonna have to warn you of a little something. The reason I did not do any of this in the event construct, which would have been nice because then it would have worked in the editor and not only in the game. So that would have been really cool to do. But I didn't do it because it causes a ton of crash in the editor. For example, you can see here this method relies on slot name. And so basically when you delete the mesh or re-import it or whatever, this slot does not exist anymore for, let's say, half a second while the re-import is happening, okay? And if you do that on the event construct, then it's gonna crash the engine for absolutely no good reason. And so I would absolutely advise you not ever to do that in the event construct, no matter how cool it would be, okay? So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and re-import our mesh without any crashes. Well, hopefully without any crashes. Okay, cool. Alright, now you can see every time you create new material IDs, the materials got mixed up. They always do. It's pretty annoying. But hey, can't be perfect, right? Okay, so that here obviously is our reverse light. Yeah, that's our reverse light, which I'm gonna copy. And then, where are you now? Guess that's gonna be these one. Yeah. So you are my brake light. Okay, good. Okay, so you can see our brake light still works, no problem. And the reverse light just sit there doing nothing, which is normal. So okay, we're gonna come in here and do the exact same thing. We're gonna copy and paste it. And promote it to a variable, which is gonna be our reverse light. And here in the material slot is going to be, oops, yeah. I had copied the name of the slot before copying the nodes. Okay, so I now have a new float variable I can use, new material variable I can use to affect the reverse light. So the first thing I'm gonna do is the reverse light should be white, I guess. What am I doing? You're gonna be, actually, you know what? Okay, that's white. Good. So we basically do exactly the same thing, but not exactly the same thing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, because that's getting pretty big of a graph, I'm gonna collapse that to its own node called handle lights with an S. Yeah. So handle lights. Here that'll be, since it's not only the brake light anymore, that'll be create lights. You could probably do that in function if you want, but we're not gonna call it anywhere else than here. So it doesn't need to be accessible in the function list. So you can just collapse them so they take less place in the graph. Okay, now that we did that, we are gonna set the scalar parameter for the glow intensity. So I guess we're gonna leave it the same values. What I'll do instead of the is breaking, oops. Yay. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here to detect whether we're in reverse or not, so I'm gonna get the gear variable, get gear, gear obviously being a variable from the parent class, our BP master vehicle. So that's gonna tell me what gear I'm into. And then actually I'm gonna open this blueprint, see what kind of variables I have in that can help me. Is accelerating, excellent. So I'm gonna use that as well. Get is accelerating. Okay. So if gear is equal to 0, which is our reverse gear, equals 0, and is accelerating is true. So if both of these are true, then we're gonna get A, which is glowing. And if any of these two is false, so if I'm not accelerating or if I'm not on reverse gear, then it's not gonna glow. So I'm gonna compile that just like that and give it a quick try. Now you can see it's not working because they're obviously glowing. Oh shoot. Okay, it is glowing. I just need to adjust the values. Jeez. Now that's what I call glowing. Can you see that? Wow. Definitely never install these on the real car. That would be way dangerous. Okay, yeah, so they glow way too much. Yeah, Pumpkin, having the is accelerating is completely not necessary. I mean, you could just use whether or not I'm in reverse gear if you want, if that's your thing. And I'm gonna show you what it looks like. So as soon as you're in reverse, they glow, even if you're not pressing the gas and you're not actually going back. So yeah, that's it. Now the brake lights are gonna glow, the reverse light is gonna glow as well. And voila. Now the reverse light glows way too much because they're white. I realized that the color affects a lot how they're gonna glow for some reason. Okay, now that's a little bit better. You still shouldn't be able to see it that much during daytime especially. But yeah, you get the idea. You can tweak that in different lighting. So yeah, that's it. The lights are glowing. Everybody's happy. Now, of course, you can do the same thing for the headlights. You know, make their own material ID, toggle them on and off with the press of a button, toggle some actual spotlights as well for night riding. And yeah, I think that's everything I needed to say, really. So yeah, that was a long requested feature that I just decided to show you how to do. And you can pretty much do that with any car, any way you want. And so, alright, gonna cut the video there. That's at 30 minutes. That is way too long. So thank you all for joining this live stream. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.